Gold prices have been rising steadily, yet many jewelry shops are still closing. Why is this happening? On the same street, 7 gold stores have shut down, one after another. What exactly is causing this? Recently, cases of material suppliers suddenly disappearing have become increasingly common. Victims have appeared in places like Shandong and Changsha, and every day across the country, some suppliers suddenly vanish. Many of these cases go unreported. Overall, incidents of missing suppliers are steadily increasing, and the impact is expanding. It started with material suppliers in Shui Bei and Shenzhen having problems. Later, the same situation happened in Changsha, and in the past couple of days, issues have also appeared in Zhengzhou. Now, some gold suppliers have already gone missing. For those of us on the front line of the industry, it's tough. When customers bring in gold, you can't refuse to take it, but if you take it, there's nowhere to sell it. If one day no one in the market is willing to buy gold and there are no buyers at all, can businesses continue to sell gold? Recently, an extraordinary phenomenon has emerged in China's gold market. Even as international gold prices soar, China's gold retail industry has fallen into an unprecedented winter. Brothers, gold prices have surged sharply, yet Chow Tai Fook is closing a large number of stores. What on earth is going on? In 2025, gold prices have been rising steadily, increasing by about 50% by October, marking the most significant jump since 1979. But in the same year, Chow Tai Fook closed a net total of 905 stores, averaging 2.5 closures per day. With gold prices rising this much, why is the gold retail sector experiencing such a significant contraction? News reports show that Chow Tai Fook expanded rapidly from 2021 to 2024, increasing its store count from 4,452 to 7,407. But in 2025, the situation reversed dramatically, dropping to 6,501 stores. As of the end of September, the company had only 6,041 retail locations in mainland China, 603 fewer than at the end of March, indicating that its years-long expansion strategy has now begun to contract. Other jewelry brands have also struggled to escape this downturn. As of the end of September, Chow Tai Seng had 4,675 terminal stores, down 560 from the same period last year, with franchise stores accounting for 380 of the closures, the main driver of the contraction. Chow Sang Sang now a net reduction of 74 mainland stores in the first half of the year, with its flagship brand Chow Sang Sang alone losing 62 stores. Chow Tai Luk closed 280 franchise stores in just 6 months. Luk Fook Group's global store count stood at 3,113, with a net decrease of 49 stores during the quarter, including 51 fewer in the mainland market. In theory, rising gold prices should mean gold shops sell better, but in reality, the opposite is happening. The industry is seeing a wave of store closures, with brand after brand shrinking their footprint. What does this indicate? It shows that the old logic, gold prices rise, gold shops make money, has already stopped working. Why? Because the core selling point of gold has changed, so has the mindset of gold buyers. In fact, the function of gold has been understood since ancient times. In the past, because it was rare, durable, and brightly colored, people regarded it as a symbol of light. But later, with the widespread adoption of electrical lighting, brightness was no longer exceptional. Dye technology also advanced, and the color gold was no longer unique. Today, gold relies mainly on 2 types of value: the store of value appreciated by investors and the social value sought by consumers. However, no matter how intense the demand is, it's always limited by price. When gold reaches around 170 USD per gram, ordinary consumers feel it's too expensive and not worth it. Unless there is a real need, they will choose not to buy. Furthermore, those who urgently need to get married are now being forced to be frugal. The soaring price of gold has forced many couples to abandon heavy traditional styles and instead buy lighter, smaller rings, or even switch to more cost-effective brands or charity collections, all in an effort to find a balance between ceremony and budget. The latest data from the World Gold Council shows that China's overall gold consumption declined in 2025. The reason is not complicated. Gold prices have risen too quickly, far outpacing household income growth. Simply put, people really can't afford it anymore. Those who were supposed to buy for weddings postponed their purchases. Those who wanted to upgrade continued to wait and see, and naturally the market cooled down. In addition, this wave of store closures shows clear regional and structural patterns. The shutdowns are concentrated mainly in franchise stores located in 3rd and 4th tier cities, rather than in 1st tier commercial districts. Data from Chow Tai Seng shows that gold stores in 3rd and 4th tier cities decreased by 441 year-on-year, making these areas the most brutally hit. This reflects multiple structural issues: weak consumer demand, increased pressure on franchises, and shrinking demand in the mid to low-end market. And the ones suffering the most are actually the franchise owners. With gold prices surging, they don't dare to stock up, because if they buy at a high price and the market dips, they may lose money immediately. The result is, they don't dare bring in inventory, and money doesn't come in either. Cash flow gets strangled and business grinds to a halt. Right now, the most serious problem isn't that gold prices are falling, it's that many people who want to sell their gold are discovering that there are simply no buyers. In the past few days, quite a few gold shops have closed their doors and stopped recycling gold because their upstream recyclers are no longer accepting inventory. This has caused severe cash flow pressure on small downstream recycling shops, and their storefronts are crowded with people anxiously trying to cash out. Many people once believed that gold was always safe, or that they could profit from it like successful investors. But when gold prices fluctuate sharply, some holders become extremely anxious every day. I've said before, gold itself doesn't deliberately make you lose money, but once prices surge rapidly, the risk naturally increases. If the market temporarily has no buyers, situations like the one we're seeing today can occur. What makes things worse is that the rise of livestream e-commerce has completely disrupted the gold retail landscape. Online channels offer transparent pricing, fast style turnover, and easy purchasing. Brand livestream rooms are directly siphoning away offline customers. The old advantage of trying on in store has now mainly been weakened by online try-ons and AR displays. Ultimately, the logic behind the gold market lies entirely with two groups: investors and consumers. Investors buy gold to preserve and increase their wealth. Rising prices actually make them more afraid of missing out, leading them to buy even more. Consumers, however, buy gold for emotional and decorative purposes. As prices rise, the cost to purchase increases, naturally reducing demand. Therefore, this round of gold price surges has not benefited the entire industry chain. Upstream mining companies have made huge profits, midstream processing companies are under immense pressure, and downstream retailers are suffering. Reality proves that even the most precious items require a market foundation of affordability. Rapidly rising prices not only fail to stimulate consumption, but also trap the entire industry in a vicious cycle of price increases, shrinkage, store closures. Furthermore, the new tax system has exacerbated the industry's woes. Starting November 1st, the Ministry of Finance and the State Administration of Taxation reduced the input tax deduction rate for non-investment gold enterprises from 13% to 6%, increasing retailers' costs by approximately $9 per gram. As soon as the news broke, gold prices immediately rose. Chow Tai Fook stores quoted prices soaring from $168 per gram on November 1st to $178 per gram on November 4th, with the Shenzhen Shui Bei market also saw prices rise from $131 per gram to $139 per gram.
喜欢玩黄金的朋友天又塌了。
Friends who like buying gold are now facing a new problem. I mentioned before that gold prices might rise sharply, but no one expected that starting on November 1st, all gold jewelry and investment gold bars would be taxed at rates ranging from about 8% to 15%. So, if you already have gold in your hands, you need to be even more cautious and cherish it.
黄金的朋友你就珍惜吧，这也
黄金税收新规一出台，
If you still have physical gold, store it safely and don't rush to sell it for now. After the introduction of the new gold tax policy, the entire gold industry has undergone significant changes. If you sell your gold now, it will become tough to repurchase it later at a price close to the market rate. I work in gold recycling and sales in Chifeng and have always offered gold bars and sheets at prices close to market rates. Although my business is in recycling, since 2022, I've been advising people to actively save gold and encouraging everyone to have their own gold saving plan. Now that gold prices have risen to over 160 USD per gram, many people have started digging through their homes for jewelry and gold bars, hoping to sell them first and repurchase them when prices drop.
等着金价低了再抄底入场。
However, netizens point out that the new regulations implemented on November 1st have once again altered the operating ecosystem of the gold market. Under the new policy, all physical gold deliveries are subject to the applicable value-added tax. This means that short-term speculators who previously profited from price differences will almost entirely lose their operational space. Arbitrage, which previously only required buying and selling a few dollars, now incurs additional tax burdens, inevitably leading to a significant cooling of speculative enthusiasm. The direct consequence of this regulation is a rapid decline in the liquidity of gold among the general public. In the past, gold trading flowed freely in the market. Now, this flow is being gradually frozen by taxes and regulations. In the future, the amount of gold that ordinary people can trade freely will decrease, and the industry's cash flow will become increasingly complex. Furthermore, industry insiders point out that the new tax policy will further suppress retail demand, and even the previously booming investment gold bar market may be affected. As the gap between sales prices and repurchase prices widens, gold's role as a store of value is weakened, and a wave of store closures is likely to continue spreading. Furthermore, the current situation is also far from optimistic for online channels. With gold prices exceeding $140 per gram, e-commerce platforms will have to compress profit margins to maintain price competitiveness. Coupled with rising tax costs, small and medium-sized e-commerce businesses will find it even harder to survive, leading to further market concentration and ultimately leaving only large, well-funded platforms to thrive. Caught between squeezed profits, declining demand, and rising costs, closing stores has become the only way out for franchisees. It is foreseeable that the contraction of branded gold stores will continue, and the pace of industry consolidation and reshuffling will accelerate. This seemingly glittering industry boom is gradually dimming amidst the contradiction between high gold prices and cooling consumption. Even more worrying is that the recent spat of news about leading gold companies exploding or running away. Many upstream suppliers have gone bankrupt due to cash flow issues affecting a large number of retail outlets.
黄金又爆雷了，杭州又有料商跑路了。
The gold industry is facing problems again. In Hangzhou, a material supplier went missing, taking more than 2.8 million USD. Similar incidents have been occurring continuously in Shui Bei, Shenzhen, since the end of September and have not stopped yet. The gold recycling industry has now entered a high-risk period. With upstream suppliers running off with funds, middlemen unable to recover large amounts of capital, and gold prices dropping sharply on the 21st, the industry's overall risk has risen again. This industry already has thin profit margins, requires significant capital investment, and naturally carries high risk. If you are still chasing high-price recycling, you might end up being the one trapped.
你不被套路，谁被套路？
An industry insider lamented, "Among us, some material suppliers have run off with goods from more than 30 clients, some over 80, and others over 100.
黄金回收现在天都塌了。
The gold recycling industry is now facing serious problems. On the 22nd, one of our upstream partners suddenly disappeared, taking the gold and funds we had sent him. This is what is called running off with the money. We used to only hear about such cases in Shenzhen, but now this is happening right around us. Several of my peers have faced the same issue, upstream suppliers disappearing with funds.
都被上游跑路。
Moreover, much of the money these suppliers invested was borrowed, some from relatives or friends, some from their parents, and some even used their grandparents' retirement savings. Once an upstream partner runs off, it means the savings of 3 generations are wiped out. Another gold recycler bluntly said, "Now gold is over 127 USD per gram. At this price, we used to be able to buy 2 grams, now we can only buy 1. The night before last, gold prices dropped $8.46 USD overnight. The 400 plus grams of gold I had purchased are now stuck. We make just over 1 USD in micro profit per gram." You might think we earn a lot, but have you considered that every day we worry about upstream partners running off and gold prices plunging? This industry has already become high risk.
黄金华强北的
In Shenzhen Shui Bei jewelry market, known as the Golden Huaqing Bei, several raw material dealers have collectively disappeared. Among them, Yu Baoxing is involved in a case involving approximately 260 kilograms of gold, valued at more than US 2.8 million. Shui Bei is the largest gold and jewelry trading center in China, with an annual transaction volume exceeding US 98.6 billion and a daily gold turnover of approximately 5 to 10 tons. Problems in this market have a significant impact on the entire gold industry.
黄金行业都得抖三抖啊。
These so-called raw material dealers were not simply running away with the gold. They were engaging in a high-risk financial gamble. Many people believed they were taking advantage of soaring gold prices to abscond with the money, but in reality, they had already set up a scheme to short gold. For example, when the price of gold was US $110 per gram, a dealer told a downstream merchant, "Brother, I'll lend you 50 kilograms of gold." The merchant received the gold and immediately sold it, then repurchased it to return it to the dealer when the price dropped to US $107. The $3 difference allowed him to net millions of yuan from the 50 kilograms of gold. The problem is they were betting that gold prices would fall. However, things didn't go as planned. Since 2024, international gold prices have surged from 2,000 per ounce to over 2,700, while domestic gold prices have even broken through $112, reaching a high of over $116. Traders who initially hoped to earn $3 ended up losing $7, resulting in a $350,000 loss on 50 kilograms of gold. These individuals often operated on loans, and once they couldn't even recover their principal, they had no choice but to abscond. It wasn't a case of fleeing with gold due to soaring prices, but rather a financial gamble they lost and ran away from. The blogger points out that given the current high price of gold, why aren't people making money on their purchases? Because what you're buying isn't an investment, but a consumer good. For example, a woman enters a jewelry store and sees a gold ring priced at $704, assuming that all $704 is the value of the gold itself. However, that's not the case. Of that $704, the raw gold material might only be worth a little over $400. The remaining $300 includes design fees, processing fees, brand premiums, and store costs. In other words, you've already lost nearly $300 the moment you buy it. They greet you with smiles when you buy, but it isn't easy to resell them. Many brand stores don't buy back their products, and even if they do, the price is 20 to 30% below market price, plus testing, damage, and handling fees. Another netizen gave an example of a gold ring she bought 10 years ago, which she now claims has appreciated due to the price increase. But have you considered inflation? $140 10 years ago is equivalent to over $200 today. The current increase has barely kept pace with inflation. After factoring in the value-added tax at the time of purchase, transaction fees at the time of sale, and wear and tear, the actual profit you can take home is likely negligible. Some netizens also mention that even gold bars bought from banks are difficult to redeem or recycle.
咱买投资金条能别在死磕银行了吗？
When buying investment gold bars, don't insist on relying on banks for redemption. The redemption process is really cumbersome. For example, in Jiangsu, I specifically inquired at the China Construction Bank and found that no branch in the entire province can redeem investment gold bars. If you want to liquidate, you now have to go to Shandong and contact banks in both Jiangsu and Shandong in advance. Even if the invoice is intact and the packaging is unopened, the process is very complicated, and some banks refuse to redeem it altogether. Buying is easy and satisfying, but selling is complex. Netizens also point out, don't even think about selling gold on secondhand platforms. That's truly dreaming a profit while paying the intelligence tax. Fees of 3.5, even up to about 6 USD per gram, immediately eat up all your profits. It's a textbook example of a losing proposition. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.